I need my books. You're already here, Jesus Christ. Hey y'all. I know, I was sick all last week and I'm finally like feeling.
Hey, what's up?
How much? How are you?
I'm pretty good. So what's toxic masculinity in your opinion?
So toxic masculinity would be defined by the behavioral traits of stoicism, competitiveness, aggression, dominance, homophobia, and misogyny.
Okay. Could you explain what toxic femininity would be then? If we've given
That
stuff
would
to the
be
masculine properties.
internalized misogyny.
So when you accept the stuff that masculinity is giving you,
No, essentially toxic femininity would be thinking that women are inferior to men.
oh, okay. So it's just societal standards given to society to understand what they are as a sex, and then they do their own beliefs based upon what's been given to them because of their gender.
That felt like a lot of words with no like congruency.
That's
When
just
we
like
look at
culture.
masculinity and femininity, these are just social constructions on how we expect people either to behave or what traits they are to have based on their gender.
Okay. Um, what do you think about women having more rights on paper than men?
You would have to tell me how.
It's on paper. It's like literal rights that you guys have over us.
Like what?
The same way you guys say that white privilege is a thing, female privilege is a thing.
Tell me what it is.
Okay, so let's say we go to the court system and we watch the court system. Basically, when it starts off as they divorced, immediately the children go to the mother before any comprehension is made towards the father. It's just that they go with the mother.
That's incorrect.
That's not incorrect. It's called case
That that
studies.
isn't that is incorrect. It really, number one, it depends on the state. And when you like file a petition
Did you know
to
that states actually
divorce,
have laws against men hitting women? So
so
that's another right you have over
so
men.
let's not just throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks here. Let's talk about this point by point. When we talk about systemic sexism within the court system, especially when it comes to family court, 90% of child custody cases are decided outside of a courtroom, which means that the parents agree on the arrangement made. The 10% that do go to court, men receive custody or receive what they ask for 65% of the time.
That's because it was already agreed upon that she was taking the child.
So
What's
you're
your
agreeing with me. Those things
no
that I
no
just
no
said, you
what's
are
your source?
agreeing with me. The American Bar Association.
Okay. That's not that's one study though. When I've literally
You,
seen it in
how
person.
many would you like? How many do I need to provide you that says 90% of of child custody is decided outside of court? How many do you need to substantiate that that's a fact?
Well, I mean, I could give you the same amount though. You know what I mean?
No, you couldn't.
Okay. Well, how do you feel about like you being able to breastfeed in public? Some states are having that be a law. Would you want your child to have sex education just because they saw a woman breastfeeding in public?
Well, my last point is comprehensive sex education, and I don't know how you made that correlation. Like, what is your argument there? Yes, I think women should be allowed to breastfeed in public.
Have you ever seen that happen? Like, do you think it's okay
Yes, I've done it.
in public?
Yes.
Okay. Are you part of the LGBTQ community?
Conceding then on women have more rights than men?
Yeah, women do have more rights than men. Thank you.
But you haven't established that. I asked you if you
Just did.
concede that point because you haven't established that. You try to come up with some arbitrary systemic sexism within the family court system, which you provided nothing in terms of source for, and actually didn't even dismantle my argument. You then pivoted to some arbitrary and random discussion about breastfeeding, which I still don't even know what you were arguing. And now you want to go into the next point. So I'm curious, like, have you given up?
No, because I mean that's kind of like what women want you to do, and what they do to make you give up even more is they'll make up fake lies, like you touched them or you're assaulting them or doing something like that, and then that whole man's figure in
No,
life is
no,
ruined.
no,
And we have
no.
several cases of this happening, like
All
a
right. What are the
college
several
student who still
cases?
didn't get to go back to the college because of the woman
What
who
are
followed
the
her.
several cases?
What?
What are the several cases where there was a false accusation and it ruined the man's life?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Yep.
Can you give me more context?
Several people have accused him of doing things to them, which never happened because
How
he
do
is
you,
a powerful white man, and apparently women have a problem with that, and so then they want his money,
how
so they
many
make up
people have
lies
accused
to get their
him?
money.
How many people have accused him?
I'll search it up for you.
No, I know the answer
Well, then why didn't you say it?
because I'm asking if you know the answer.
At least 18 to
So,
20.
by my research, it's 26.
Okay.
So, and in some of the cases, he refuses to give DNA. Why do you, if he's
Because
innocent, why do
DNA
you
is
think that
flawed.
is?
Do you really think DNA isn't flawed?
If he is innocent, why would he refuse to give his DNA?
Because DNA is false. It's been proven countless times.
DNA is false. What do you mean by that?
What you share 90% of your DNA with a turtle, and you're asking me what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm asking you to be a little bit more specific when you make just vague generalizations. Saying DNA is false doesn't tell me anything. So you're saying that when people have DNA evidence, that this is not objective evidence to insinuate that this person's genetic material was left in this place.
Yeah. The fact that the person who built the machine doesn't know what the use was going to be for the machine when they
No, I
built it.
would like a citation. I would not like your how you have
I'd
abstracted
like
and
I'd
come
like
to this
proof that DNA
conclusion.
proves anything.
No, I would like your citation on where you are getting that DNA evidence is inconclusive. Do you have anything or no?
Uh, so if the sample isn't a big enough sample, then it doesn't hold enough DNA to actually do anything. And a lot of the DNA tests come from people picking up cigarette butts off the ground from some random person. And so if this person has a cigarette bud and then there's another cigarette bud and somebody's lips were on that old cigarette bud and
In
then
the case
somebody's lips are on the new one.
one second. In the case that we're discussing, we're talking about grape kits.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have the knowledge to know if there's enough of a sample within a grape kit to know if it's accurate to ask for someone else's DNA. So, but again, you're dodging the question. I would like a citation on where DNA evidence is not conclusive, not just, based on how much sampling you have, but also if he is innocent, why would he not give his DNA? And what negative
Because like
outcomes
I
has
said,
Donald Trump,
DNA doesn't prove
what
anything. Why are
negative
you
outcomes
stapling
has
it?
Donald Trump has had because of this? Has he paid settlements? Is
Why
he
would
like
I pay
a
somebody I didn't
renowned
do anything
known
to?
sex offender?
Why would he pay somebody something when he didn't do anything to them?
Well, you said that men are accused and then they face negative consequences. So now you've made this claim Donald Trump has been accused. What are the negative consequences?
People like you who say it's real.
I didn't make that statement.
But the LGBTQ community did.
You can't be real. You can't be real. You have to be a troll. I can't. I can't. Oh God. Why? Hey y'all, if you're in the box and you agree, if you could withdraw your request. I'm just gonna do solo debates today. But if you disagree, go ahead and keep your request in. Thank you for the corgi. Welcome everyone. I appreciate you following, liking. I do have the subscriber button on if you would like to subscribe. I try to hold debates 4 to 5 times a week, as long as I don't get sick. I did want to talk more about the LGBTQ, but
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, hi. Yeah, I agree, but I also disagree. I disagree about feminism advocating for women to live their best lives. This is just my personal opinion. I'm kind of more of an advocate for traditionalism, but that wouldn't exist unless we had empowered masculine figures in society. So, I'm just curious what you or others may have to say about feminism actually being the best decision for a woman to feel empowered with.
If we're going to look at fourth wave feminism, I do think female empowerment is important because it is important to essentially give women the autonomy that they have control over certain decisions that they make within their life, and that they don't need to necessarily be dependent on either the attention, the validation, or the attention and validation are good of men in order to have some type of value. Acceptance, I would say, as well. So I would say that feminism does have a really great critique on that independent of men, women have value. And it's not our value based on being a wife, being a mother, being having the capacity for pregnancy, that there's more to womanhood than that.
Right. But at the same time, the society that we all live in was built by men for men. So wouldn't the solution be to incorporate the female agenda is not the right term, but basically what I'm trying to say is that women are subjugated to live in a society that has been designed by men and for men. So how do we as women actually succeed in that environment? I think feminism is kind of just a result of us trying to live in a masculine dominated world. It's not actually creating a world by women for women. It's just in contrast to the male dominated society. So if it's in contrast, how is that genuine?
Well, I think feminism is a critique on the patriarchy, and that critique can be intersectional. So in order to dismantle the patriarchy, I do think we have to get rid of certain institutions that I would agree with you do favor and have a general bias towards men.
And many may not agree with what I'm trying to say here, but isn't like there's forms of feminism that are toxic because it's women trying to live in a masculine world with a masculine energy to them. So is like, as you said before, like toxic femininity is internalized misogyny. And I don't to me, feminism doesn't fully digress from that. It's tied to, like, in its root, it's about dismantling the patriarchy. And how is that actually, like, yes, in one phase that is empowering, but what should be ultimately happening is we're building a society that's inclusive to women, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I don't know what your point is there.
Well, I mean, you say at the top that feminism is for men too.
Yeah. It also frees men from the patriarchy.
But how is that the case if feminism was built on the premise of masculinity?
Is a critique of the patriarchy and an attempt to dismantle it. Now, I think there's intersectionality when it comes to the ideas of feminism. I mean, you have Marxist feminism, which also shows like the way that capitalism subjugate and oppresses women. Mm-hmm. That can be one entity of it. You have, modern feminism. You have different types of feminist lens that you can look through it. You have intersectional feminism, which looks at how each woman, based on parts of their identity, either other barriers or privileges that other women do and do not have. So I do think there are a lot of different ideas of feminism that address a lot of different ideas within the world that we exist in. And so, yes, I do think feminism is for men too, simply because it does free men of submitting to patriarchal roles, which I would argue would be inherently beneficial for them.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree that it would be beneficial for them to examine the different definitions of power in the feminist and masculine sort of structures. But I guess what I'm just trying to get at is I think it's important for people to acknowledge that feminism is, like you said, a critique of the masculine world, but it's rooted in that masculinity. I don't see it as independent from it.
What do you mean it's rooted in that masculinity? What does that mean?
Well, like, let's kind of compare to societies before our contemporary societies where women once were respected, where they had positions of authority, where their feminine nature was respected and honored, and how we've
what is feminine nature?
Feminine nature is like, well, there's even different arguments being made about that, because I've seen some people think that the power of the woman is her seduction, and so women are kind of always seen as sex objects, even in like their empowered tantric sort of sexual nature. But to me, the feminine nature is the energy of the maiden, the mother, the crone, the wisdom of earth, and the goddess.
What does that mean?
I don't understand why it's confusing. I mean, isn't that kind of a simple way to
I
put it?
just feel these terms are very vague, and it doesn't really kind of give me any traits or maybe behaviors that women are expected to have within society that were previously respected. Because I would argue, like, the construction of masculinity and femininity that we have today is derived from the patriarchy. And because it's derived from the patriarchy, it puts masculinity in a superior position and in femininity in an inferior position. And I don't think we have to submit to what the patriarchy has told us is feminine.
Well, I don't think that I am also somebody who can define femininity on a term that's for everyone. I can only define it on my terms, which is to be nurturing, compassionate, unconditionally loving, intuitive, warm.
I would say that some of those I would argue, are derived from the patriarchy. Again, to put women in a position where they are subordinate or submissive, and men to put them in a position to where they are dominant and superior.
And that's where I disagree, because while I acknowledge that the patriarchy exists, I consider myself to be a traditionalist. I think that, I mean, I'm a cisgender heterosexual woman, and I totally understand that people may completely disagree with me, and I don't believe that our gender and our sexuality are the same thing, but I'm saying that we all embody masculine and feminine energy within us, and that my feminine energy is enhanced and healthier when I'm around a healthy masculine energy.
I disagree with that. I don't know why your energy would be dependent on receiving opposite energy.
Well, I mean, that's just that's a natural law of the universe.
I disagree. I think this idea that you are incomplete unless you have someone bringing energy that makes you whole, it is, again, like a reflection of the patriarchy.
I don't consider myself to be incomplete. I just think that I wasn't born with all the answers. And I think that as I go through life, I'm going to have experiences, good or bad. But what I've found is that when I'm around healthy masculine energy, it allows me to embody my feminine energy better, versus being in a situation where I'm subjected to toxic masculinity or narcissism or the patriarchy, which doesn't necessarily always come from men. What was that?
What is healthy masculine energy?
Healthy masculine energy is someone who is a leader, a provider, and a protector. And I'm not saying that I don't do those things for myself. I do those things for myself, but I thrive better as a woman when I'm around men who embody masculine energy.
So I would say all three of those characteristics that you gave me are from the patriarchy, and actually hold up the narrative that I was stating earlier, that put men in a dominant position and women in a submissive position. Especially the aspect of that, because a few men harm women, we need to link arms with men. because then it puts men in the dominant position to where they can choose to be generous or not. They can choose to provide us aid or not, which again makes us submit to them. With the provider aspect, again, I think that is inherently patriarchal because it makes women dependent on men. And with the leadership, I think that's just inherently biased towards women. There was a recent study done that analyzed 19 different traits of leadership, and women outperformed men in 17 of them. So I would argue that putting men leadership as a masculine trait again upholds this idea that masculinity is superior.
Well, I appreciate what you have to say. I definitely don't think that it's superior. I appreciate the discussion because it allows me to better form my opinions about it. But I mean, I'm familiar with all the data that you're talking about. I mean, I have yet to meet a man who makes more money than me, who it's just in my life, I have been independent. I went through periods in my life where after being subjected to a lot of abuse from a lot of different men, I had to empower myself, but I wasn't the best version of myself. And so what I'm saying is that being around healthy masculine energy, and that's not necessarily a cisgender male. I mean, I have friends of all identities who embody that leadership, and I even embody it within myself. But I'm saying that doesn't necessarily correspond with the mainstream feminist agenda, which it is important to hold men accountable for their internalized misogyny, and the majority of them don't even want to address it. But what I'm trying to get at is that feminism is rooted in patriarchal standards, but I personally think that the argument that I'm trying to make isn't necessarily rooted in patriarchy. I think the discussion that you're having is constantly circling back to us being rooted in a patriarchy, but I don't think that that's been our entire human history. I think that's just been the recent past 300 to 500 years, which we are attempting to dismantle, but it hasn't been our only human history. There has been societies. Sorry?
It's been more than 300 to 500 years, and I mean, you can say that, you know, your argument isn't rooted in the patriarchy, and my argument, feminism, is, where I think the opposite has been established. You have given me qualities of masculinity that are inherently patriarchal, and I don't think you've really substantiated again how feminism is inherently patriarchal. Feminism can be a critique on certain ideas. It can be a critique on capitalism. It can be a critique on the patriarchy. And that's what it is. That's what it's doing.
I mean, you can still have criticism of those things without identifying as a feminist. And sorry, my brain kind of just went blank, but I did have a response to what you said previously. And I truthfully did not have that much time to discuss today. I just saw your video and I was like, felt empowered to speak about it. I probably only have like a minute or two left before I have to move on. So I want to say thank you. And okay. Yeah, I appreciate your time.
Yep.
Hey, how's it going?
Good for you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, so good news for you. I disagree with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 5 of your talking points, but I'll let you set the pace for the conversation. Which would you like to address first?
Wherever you'd like to begin.
How is feminism for men as well, in the modern day sense?
Feminism essentially frees men from submitting to patriarchal roles.
You're saying that if a man wishes to climb, let's just say, the patriarchy ladder, right? It can be venture capitalist, entrepreneur, or even corporate, right? So you're saying that if a man inherently wants to grow and self-improve, if it is seen in the external at all, i.e. toxic masculinity, it's pretty much part of the patriarchy, but if a woman does the same thing, it's not. I think both
No.
genders can
So
self-improve.
if you want me to be a little bit more specific, I would argue. So this is from The Will to Change: Men, Masculinity, and Love. Males cannot love themselves in patriarchal cultures if their very self-definition relies on submission to patriarchal roles. When men embrace feminist thinking and practice, which emphasizes the value of mutual growth in self-actualization and all relationships, their mutual well-being will be enhanced. A genuine feminist politics always brings us from bondage to freedom, from loneliness to love. A mutual partnership is the foundation of love. Feminist thought and action creates the conditions under which mutuality can be nurtured. It is no easy task for men to rebel against patriarchal thinking and learn to love themselves and others. Feminist masculinity offers men a way to reconnect with selfhood, uncovering the essential goodness of maleness and allowing everyone, male and female, to find glory in loving manhood. So that would be the first section. I would also argue that the first act of violence the patriarchy demands of males is not violence towards women. Instead, patriarchy demands of all males that they engage in acts of psychic self-mutilations, that they kill off the emotional parts of themselves. If an individual is not successful at emotionally crippling himself, he can count on patriarchal men to enact rituals of power that will assault his self-esteem.
Can I get an example of a ritual of power?
Yeah, so for example, like when it comes to growing up a boy, if there is a task that you need to do that you are scared, let's just say it's like jumping off a bridge, you will typically be ridiculed by other men as either being scared, a wuss, a pussy, don't be a girl about it. You will essentially be like bullied into completing that task. If you are vulnerable, you're either gay or a girl. If you are sensitive, you're either gay or you're a girl.
So aside from the I guess you can say the demasculation ritual in regards to rites of passage, I guess you can say, like that whole you're not a man until you fill in the blank. I can understand that, and I can even empathize with that. Being the second youngest of 15 siblings, I definitely had to play catch up with a lot of the adventures that my older brothers had, i.e., jumping into a lake on the higher platform versus the lower platforms. I can definitely empathize with that. But as far as like the idea that men who have pretty much built the entire infrastructure that we all operate in, to include many inventions that definitely has changed the realities for men and women alike. I don't think that their journey was meant for the oppression of women and or unmasculine men. I understand that there are some men out here that definitely fit the bill, but the minority does not make up the majority. I'm very sorry.
Like you have to recognize that the system that we have built is definitely placed on hierarchies, whether that is colonialism, whether that is capitalism,
Well,
whether that is the
I'm not
patriarchy.
arguing that. I'm not arguing
And so it's
the
designed
the falsehood
that
of
the
patriarchy.
few people dominate and the majority are either subjugated or suppressed.
The same thing can be said about the NBA. A few people dominate, a few people make it, but millions of young men have that dream. Now, are we going to cancel the NBA, NFL, MLB because not every boy will
That's
have an
not
opportunity
a
to be a part of that?
comparison. That is not a
Like,
comparison.
you're comparing the fact that, let's say, if I play basketball my entire life and I focus that and I'm pushed and I'm pressured, i.e., like you said, toxic rituals of manhood, right? Rites of
It's not
passage.
toxic
If I
rituals. Like if we look
have you
at
ever?
systems
I'm
of
sorry. For
no,
someone
no. I want to
who
show you
preaches
how this
empathy,
comparison is not accurate
I'm sorry, ma'am.
because we
I
know
let you finish, ma'am.
that's
Respectfully.
nice of you. But again, I'm going to
Oh,
interrupt you here because
e-
this comparison
equality.
is not accurate when it comes to what we are discussing.
So
If we look
you read a
at within
blog, but what
certain
I'm saying is not
hierarchies,
accurate.
there are a lot of areas where nepotism and favoritism can occur. But within the NBA is one of the few industries where that cannot occur. Because in order to be successful, you got to be able to dunk. So
I'm
that's
sorry.
why this
Are
is
you
not a
saying
fair
that
comparison.
I'm
because
sorry.
people who reach
Wow,
high
ma'am,
elite
can I correct
levels
you?
of athleticism
Ma'am, I have to correct
are
you.
not
I have to correct you.
subjugating people and taking
I
from
hear
people
you.
in order to achieve that.
It's okay. Right. Again, the first thing I said was I can empathize with the toxic upbringing of even myself, like me being metrosexual,
Right. You don't need
and
to
advanced
repeat.
again. I don't need to repeat. Well, I need to reiterate because you definitely, I don't think you're actively listening. You're just waiting to respond and debunk me, right? So,
The
respectfully,
projection. The projection.
or et cetera, if you don't dunk. There's been people like Steve Kerr, Larry Bird, individuals who literally could not dunk, but their expertise was outside the fundamentals of the game. What you're saying is that if I'm faster than my classmates, then that's inherently toxic. If I achieve beyond my class, then that's inherently
That's not what I'm
part of
saying at all.
patriarchy. Okay, so how are you
That's not
preaching?
what I am
How are you
saying at all.
preaching
And
self-improvement,
when I was talking
young
about you
boy?
got to be able to dunk, it means you have to be able to play the game at an elite level, which is why, like, Michael Jordan's son wasn't successful because he didn't have the athletic ability in order to compete with the greats. Where if we look at other industries, like let's say entertainment is full of nepotism. So that's where
I
the
agree.
comparison doesn't translate because within the NBA, it's essentially competing athletic skill and ability to athletic skill and ability. But when we talk in other areas like politics, like economics, it's not a meritocracy. It's the ability for someone either to extract resources, to behave in unethical ways, or to leverage certain advantages like wealth, influence,
Okay.
and social status. That's
Can,
why that was an
can I
inaccurate
give you an
comparison.
example of an advantage real quick? So, why is it that most unalivings, homelessness, are faced by men versus there are things in place in our societies that avoid or have homelessness prevention when it comes to women and children, right?
What
Why?
percentage of homeless people are men?
What percentage? I cannot give you the exact percentage without looking it up in real time.
It's 61%. It's 61%. So I would argue that even though there are more homeless people than male homeless people than female, it doesn't prove any systemic sexist issue. It's just disproportionate.
I agree that there's definitely a light token of systemic sexism, but as far as modern
I
day
said it
feminism,
doesn't.
there's right. I agree,
Then
but
why are you bringing that up?
because I believe that feminism is not for modern day men, because modern day women expect traditional men, but cannot fathom becoming traditional women themselves.
I would argue that no, most women do not
Of
want
course.
traditional. And that doesn't address anything that I just said. Like I have told you why feminism is beneficial for men because it frees them within certain patriarchal roles. It allows them to be more connected with who they are and able to love other people
Right.
around them, where
hmm
the patriarchy demands that they kill those portions off of them. So I don't know how I said that this is beneficial. And now you bring up homelessness, which you agree isn't even rooted in systemic sexism as somehow a counterpoint. Like, can you bridge that gap for me?
I'm saying that being that the margins are simply at the late level of 60-40, there are still women's shelters in place. There are still housing in place,
There are homeless
for women and
shelters in
children.
place.
There's a lot of okay, you tell me one thing that women cannot do that a man can do. You tell
Women
me
do not
how,
have
like one example
women do not have
of
the
a
civil
law
freedoms to exist within society without gender-based violence.
that
Women are
is
also,
very subjective.
it is not.
Continue.
If you would like
Okay.
examples, I'd be happy to provide them for you.
Okay, I can give you a great example. I just read a 13-year-old boy forced to pay child support after being essayed by a 30-year-old woman. No jail time on the 30-year-old woman that essayed a 13-year-old boy, but this boy, just like in a different case in 2014, was forced to pay child support. But here we are arguing about abortion. But a man
Again,
can't simply
that is
say, I
not.
give up my rights and I don't want to be a father. Right? Like there's so many inaccuracies that
There
don't serve
are
feminism,
there
but
are
you won't
laws
speak about them.
where
It's
you
okay.
can actually there are laws where males can actually withdraw their parental rights and not pay child support. But if you so are you just trying to argue that men have it harder? Is that the argument here?
I'm saying that throughout millennia, men and women have both had it harder, but the argument here is that women are highlighting the fact that it's time for their oppression to end, as if it's been active and alive, and all us men have just been having a blind eye toward it. Like even chivalry
I
at
think
its core
yeah,
is being removed.
no, I think men are very much do not have a critical analysis of the patriarchy. If I can say
Men
that men
operate with
experience
logic,
Christ within
women
the
operate with
patriarchy,
emotions.
like you just proved your own point that men aren't really aware of certain
I'm
attitudes and
saying that
ideas
it
they have
could
that are
have.
sexist.
I'm saying that
When
that's
it
what feminism
comes
is saying.
what
That's not what I'm
you
saying.
just said, men are more logical and women are more emotional is not correct.
And I appreciate your synopsis as the eye of the beholder in your own reality, but you're speaking on men
That's
as if
not
men
the
have the equal right to speak on abortion. Like men can speak on abortion
I
in the same
want men to
spheres.
speak on abortion.
And
I
again,
want
you
men
want,
to
you
have an
think, you
opinion
feel.
on abortion.
You think, you
And
want, you
again,
feel, and
you
I hear
just
you.
pivoted. You just pivoted. There is study after study that shows when it comes to how each gender reacts to certain stresses and stimuli or decision making, that men and women use the same emotional and logical processes.
That's,
This idea
I
that
would love
men
to
are
look at those
logical
numbers.
and women are emotional is an
Ma'am,
idea from the
ma'am,
patriarchy. So that men are
I
viewed as
led male and female
superior
soldiers,
and
ma'am.
that
Ma'am,
women are viewed as inferior.
ma'am,
Sorry, what'd you say?
being objective, I led male and female soldiers as a non-commissioned officer in the U.S. Army. So I served with men and women, and I definitely saw no difference in individual drive, cohesion, team cohesion,
Then why
cognitive
did you
process.
make the
I'm not saying
statement?
that inherently, I'm not saying that inherently women can't do what men can do. I'm not saying that, right?
Didn't you
Because
just say that men are logical and women are emotional?
yes, and the reason I say that is because
That is
in
not
wartime,
true.
one second, in wartime, there have been countless reports where there's been evidence of escalation of deadly force, decisions that had to be made based on sheer logic and not emotion, that a mere 2 second interval can cost lives. Okay, so I
Can we
understand that
have
you
one of
may
those
be coming
reports
from a.
or those studies issued? Can you cite that?
Can I cite military events that you wouldn't even fathom as a
I
reality
assume
because
there
you
would be
probably
like a
complain about your
study.
latte? Like
I
you're
assume there would be a study.
okay, feminism is to why is my latte
Do you
not
have
tasting
one or
well
not? Do you
versus
have one
red
or
pill
not?
is to. Look, we can disagree all day. Like I said in the beginning, I disagree with
Do
every point
you
you have.
have one or not?
Do I have one what?
A source or a citation that you can give me that
Do I have
supports
a
what you
do
just
I
said.
have a Wikipedia blog that you read? No, I don't have a blog that I can read
I'm
for you.
not asking for a Wikipedia blog. I'm asking for you to substantiate your claim. I would like to read what you read, how you came to this conclusion.
Okay. And I would love to populate that for you. And maybe we can have part two, but can I just, go on my home
Okay.
screen on my
So
phone and
you can.
Google it? Of course
Yeah,
not.
go ahead.
No, I
Go
can't because I cannot regurgitate, articles that I try and memorize to get on TikTok and debate with you. That's not the priority in my life. But if you like, we can
Then
continue
why
this
are you
dialogue
here?
and I can provide that
Why
for
are
you
you here?
because I'm someone that has been misidentified politically, socially, mentally as someone that is in the ASD community and a military veteran. So there's been many, many facets in this reality, and to include the new TikTok meta that we're all existing in, whereas one person's plight can be overlooked simply based on the color of their skin or gender, and that's not okay. So even though I can't populate analytical data to, commemorate
So wait,
my
are you
opinion,
here to make an argument on behalf of men within the patriarchy?
I'm here to make an argument that wake up, smell the coffee, life isn't fair. So if we want progress, we can't just say we are where we are because of this person and that person.
We can
Period.
take an analysis on certain systems and
Of
look at
course.
historically at the outcomes that have occurred from these systems and then have a critique of the system. So yes, I can look at the patriarchy and show that it has essentially put men in the dominant position to where they have access to power, women in a submissive and subordinate position where they are excluded from it, and where
Mhm.
men have characterized themselves to be viewed as inherently superior and women as inherently inferior. I
Really,
can also take,
I'm
one
so
second,
sorry,
I
but
can
my
also
sister,
take the
no,
analysis
no, I have a
of
sister who's a real estate
capitalism.
agent. Look at the
I
real
can
estate
also take
industry.
the analysis of
Ma'am, look at
capitalism
the
and
insurance
see that
industry,
we
look
have
at the real estate
systemic
industry.
sexist issues within capitalism. I can also look at the patriarchy and see certain social roles
Well,
that are not
start bricklaying,
benefiting
ma'am. Miss
women.
Kenzie, start bricklaying. Start bricklaying. Start choosing the sciences. Why don't we have more women in the sciences, in the labor force? Why don't we have more women in the infrastructure? Do you think that we don't want that? Individuals
Yes,
don't want that?
I don't
Okay,
think
great.
that, yes, the
That's
patriarchy
great
wants
opinion.
that. Absolutely.
Wow. Like, it's just hilarious that, being married to a woman that has been in the insurance industry for 14 years, and she has admitted that there have been times where she has had to deal with sexism. But sexism innately is not a systemic or social thing to where all men by default. There are individual men that we don't, we're not going to vouch for. There are horrible men on this planet who have committed atrocities, who have, been disrespectful to women for no
Right,
reason.
but you're not
Right?
listening to the
But at the same
analysis that
time,
I'm giving.
there's no individual accountability. Yes, you can argue the
It's
patriarchy,
not
but you won't discuss, hang
individualism.
on. You won't discuss the music industry, right? Because that's more of like, oh, you can't argue with art, right? Because if I say Cardi B is horrible for young women, you would say what? You would say what to me? If my niece singing the WAP song in school is supposed to be progressive, I'm just saying, like, there's
I'm
nothing
here to
that
substantiate
you
that.
can
I would
say
ask
that
you
you can
why.
say, you know what? All I'm saying
I
is
know.
that
I want to
you're
ask you why. Why is the WAP song harmful for women and girls?
I mean, that's something that really I don't even. I think I've heard that song twice, but the reason I
Then
heard it is
why are you bringing that up and
because
asking me the
it's
question to where
because
when
I
I
would
got a
like to
little
know
bit
your opinion
closer,
of
I
when
asked
women have.
a little small
That's
question
an
and you're like,
L for women.
no.
Cardi B is an L for women, and I would love for you to describe how everything seems to be that
Seems to be
feminism,
what?
the freedoms are always beautiful, right? And you got these parades, and there's nothing
Oh my
wrong
God, you
with these
are all
obscenities.
over the place. Can you
Of
have
course,
a
no,
consistent line
of
of
course not.
thinking?
Actually, with my Asperger's syndrome, no, I can't, unfortunately. I'm sorry that is disingenuous to you or unsatisfactory. I mean, do you want to talk about how, it's not my mental health, it's just that I'm a guy and I'm mansplaining or doing whatever? No. I'm
No,
autistic, is
you're
that
not
okay?
here actually having any kind of active dialogue. You won't respond to questions. You won't cite sources. You're just kind of in here preaching. And
You
then
read
when
a
I try to
blog.
engage, one
What
second,
source
when I
did you
try
link?
to
What source
engage,
did you
one
link in the
second,
chat that I could read with you? What source did you
one
link that I could
second.
read with you and then
You
learn?
can't link sources in the
Post
chat.
the
If you
link.
would like me to link sources, I would be happy
And
to
I
provide
literally
them.
said that in a future date, we
Stop
can populate
talking.
links. No,
Stop
it's common
talking.
courtesy. It's common courtesy, and you have none for me.
Stop
Every time I spoke, I
talking.
had 5 words before you interrupted me. At this
That's not
point,
true.
there's
That isn't
there's no
true. I
advantageous
very
measure for this
much am willing
conversation,
to give people
and
the
I'm gonna
space to speak.
continue to speak until you acknowledge the fact that we both have been interjecting, or you can kick me.
I have no problem with interjecting. I am not the one who is complaining constantly. I am
I'm
trying
not
to
complaining
engage.
about anything.
You
I'm
are
playing chess. You're
constantly
playing
complaining.
checkers.
Just
You're
stop
triggered. I'm not.
talking. I'm
You can
trying to
ask me to stop
engage in
talking,
the
but you're not gonna tell me to stop
conversation.
talking because you're
You
a
told
host on a
me
platform.
You
Hmm.
told me that Cardi B is A, B, or C. And I asked you to expand. What is A, B, or C? And you're like, oh, I really don't know. What's the point of bringing that up? If your own claim
Disingenuous,
can't
for one,
substantiate
should be
a
in
little
prison
bit
for
of
drugging
question.
men, and 3, then I go on. If a woman admits to drugging men and robbing them on video, but yet women want to get mad if Trump says grab him by the kitty, it's like we don't see things where both men and women all belong to a population of being grotesque and being less than valuable people on this planet. I'm not saying that
No, you
all
are
men are
trying
great.
to take concepts. You are trying to take concepts
Negative, because
and
you
reduce them to
you're not willing to take
individual lives.
accountability for your own gender, and it's like you guys can't fail.
What accountability? What accountability would you like? What do
Let's
women
say,
need to take
so since
accountability for?
comprehensive sex education, how is WAP a good introduction to what what happens when adults fall in love?
Oh.
Oh, B or Nicki Minaj or all these music, and even young boys. I don't agree with half the music that my nephew likes. So it goes both ways.
Okay.
So
I'm not
why don't
asserting
you
these
fight for?
claims. I am
Why
not
don't you
saying
fight
that
for?
Cardi B or Eminem or Jay-Z or 50 Cent should be a part of the curriculum of comprehensive sex education. If
Why
you
are
would
you?
like my
But
critique on
you're
WAP, I can give
deflecting.
you my critique on WAP.
Go ahead.
What do you want here?
You just said it. You know, like for example, you and I both can pull up histories of men committing heinous crimes against women, children, just straight horrible men. And you and I would be like, yeah, they're horrible, right? But I digress, and I doubt that any feminist would actually hold any woman, be it a public story or even a private story
If
or
Cardi
public.
B drugged and stole from men, she should be prosecuted.
Why isn't there a rally for that? What's going on?
I don't know. Why don't you organize one?
I mean, I'm not the one, that's, saying that, grape culture is a bad thing,
We probably
right?
don't have well that's not grape culture though.
I mean, but it's
And no
securing the
one's
bag,
also in the
securing the
streets.
bag
No one's
culture.
also in the
That's
streets
boss,
calling for
that's
Trump to
boss
be
bitch. No, no, no,
prosecuted
no,
for
no,
at
no,
least
no. No, ma'am.
26
That's boss
accusations of
bitch.
rape.
I don't want no scrubs. Take what you can. Baller. That's like, you know what it is.
What are
Like you're
you
not.
saying?
That there has been in the music industry ever since TLC came out with the song No Scrubs, right? Since that moment, there was a shift in the music industry where out of nowhere it became cool to benefit financially from a man that no longer serves you. Okay? But we don't discuss the disadvantages of a man even wanting to be married today. We don't discuss, how women have hurt men through millennia, but let's digress. Troy was all, the men's fault, right? Helen of Troy had no, had
So
no,
again,
had
no,
no.
we're not going to just
Well,
throw stuff at the wall and see
I
what
know.
sticks.
Pick
If
one.
we want to talk about music and culture and the culture within music, I would
Uh-huh.
argue that men have been using misogyny and have
Oh,
been
here we
over
go.
sexualizing women for
That's sex
decades.
positivity, sweetheart. That's body positivity.
One second. But so when we look at media and entertainment, we have music industry, we have the film industry, we have agents, we have producers, we have film, all sexualizing and profiting off of women. But yet here you are
Like,
saying,
look at
I
all the
have a
love in the
problem.
chat. So
One
many
second.
powerful women that, want to, improve the world.
Ignore it. Ignore it. That's the only thing that you can do. But yet, here you are complaining when a woman sexualizes herself. So tell me, why is it okay for everyone else to sexualize and exploit women, but the moment that she does it herself, that she profits off of her own sexualization, like Iggy Azalea or Nicki Minaj or Cardi B, then only then do you have a problem with it.
Not necessarily. Let's take someone, for instance, a child who is a first row violinist, right? Male or female, doesn't matter. We live in a society where Shakira in the Super Bowl and J-Lo twerking or whatever, or any kind of sexualization from men and women. You got Justin Timberlake bringing sexy back. So it goes both ways, right? I've never subscribed to that. So as an individual, having a conversation with another individual, I agree with you in the sense that all in all, music hasn't been the best variable to teach us about right and wrong and how to, be upstanding citizens, right?
No,
But at the
because
same time,
if we look at those two standards, if we look at what happened with Janet Jackson when her breast was exposed, if we look at how Shakira and J-Lo, who are just dancing, by the way, they're not sexualizing themselves.
I mean, it
They
was
get
mothers and
criticism.
parents that called it the NFL and said, my children were watching a family show.
They get criticism for that. But when Adam Levine has no shirt on, no one says anything.
I mean, I thought freeing the nipple was a movement. What happened?
It definitely is a movement. And
I subscribe to that. I think we all should free the nipple, and that's amazing.
Great.
Yes.
Then I don't know what you're arguing here. What are you arguing?
I'm arguing that there are many disgusting factors in which we look at society, i.e., our Google feed, our Instagrams, whatever we look at, right, in the morning with our coffee or what have you, we can agree that the mainstream media gives a horrible representation of the average day man and woman. So when we look at modern day feminism or even the red pill movement, right, there are many things, for example, that bald men say that make me sick to my stomach that I fall into the same gender. There are other things that women say that make me, like feel like crap for just
So
being
I
born into a
don't
gender that I have no
what
choice in.
you
But
were
what I
trying
don't
to
see
say
is
your
the
point.
equality. Hang on, I don't see the equality of opportunity to highlight and be self-accountable of both sides of the spectrum. All I see
What
is
do you want
disingenuous
women to be
arguments.
accountable for? What do you want women to be accountable for?
Accountable for the fact that men don't wake up at 5 in the morning to go throw garbage to oppress their wives. Some women choose to stay home and they don't have to be a pick-me. Some women are traditional, some are modern. Whatever choice you make, we should all be empathetic and respect everyone else. But because I have a polar opposite, excuse me,
Again, no,
another
no. I've
interruption, but you're not
asked you
interrupting,
very direct questions, and I have been
and
very
you're not
charitable.
going to get one
When
because
I
I haven't got
ask
one
you,
myself.
what is your point? I'm not asking for an essay. It should be a 1 or 2 sentence point that is direct and succinct, of making a
Uh-huh.
direct and
So
succinct
you're so
point.
you're requesting
So
courtesy,
now
correct?
I would
But
like to
but look at how you
respond.
address me. But look at the chat with the shrimp emojis. They're body shaming me
I
now, all this
don't
stuff. But it's
care.
okay. This is what I'm
I
talking
don't
about. You have
care.
no
I don't
accountability
care.
for your support. Of course you don't care. Tap that screen, share that
Yes,
live, right?
it doesn't
Tap the screen,
matter
share the live. It doesn't matter.
it doesn't
But if
matter
a
what
man
live
says,
you are in.
I'm not
It
hurt.
doesn't matter
I'm a
what
happily
live
married
you
man.
are
I'm
in.
chilling. You guys are the ones
No,
that are
you
gonna
don't.
have cats. I'm talking to the
No,
chat,
you
not you.
don't. It does not matter what live you are in. The comments are going to say what the comment says. And I'm going to
Right.
tell you, as someone
But if
who has debated more than once or twice, it is in your best interest to ignore them. 100%. Thank you, Tommy, for the raid. Now, when we come to the critique of
are you on Twitch as
men
well?
don't wake up at 5 in the morning
Excuse me.
to,
Are you on Twitch as well?
when we come to the critique, men don't wake up at 5 in the morning to take out the garbage so that they can subjugate their wives. That is not a critique of the entire system. You are trying to reduce it in one area and reduce it in another so that it fits a certain narrative that you have.
Isn't the blue
What
collar
we
man
can see
traditional?
is,
I'm sorry. Again,
but
you're going through a monologue and you're gonna lose me.
I'm
Okay.
not going into monologue. I am
Earlier you
responding to
said
your
that women
claim,
don't
and
want.
then I'm
Excuse
going
me.
to make my
Okay.
own point.
Let's have it to and fro. Earlier you said
Please.
usually women don't want a traditional man, but aren't blue collar men seen as traditional?
No. I
So
don't
okay. So
think just because
you
you
don't
have
think,
a
you
middle
don't
class
feel.
job that makes you traditional. No.
You don't think and you don't feel is how you respond to me, but you tell me that I don't give you a direct answer. But the first thing you always say is, I feel like, in my opinion, I don't believe
Would
that.
you like it worded different? No. Traditional men are not defined based on what job bracket they fall into. It's based on their values and how they
Okay.
think life should be structured and
Isn't
the
your life
expectation.
choice on how to
I'm not
provide for your
done.
family a
I'm not
value?
done. You complain constantly about me interrupting you. And yet here you are, not letting
But
me finish
do
a
you
thought.
allow me to say I'm done, you can respond? Not one time that I finish a
No,
coherent
typically
thought.
when I have conversations with people, it's not, I'm done, you can respond. I'm done,
But
you
yet
can
you're
respond.
complaining about my
I'm
interjections.
not complaining. I can
You're
engage in a
highlighting my
conversation.
behavior.
I can give people the space to speak. If you can't, if this is too hard for you, you can leave.
It isn't. I can respond, and I'm playing chess. You keep playing checkers. Okay,
No, you
I
aren't playing
understand what
chess.
I understand what you're
You
saying
think you
without
have
using
come here
words.
prepared and educated and
I'm not
have
educated. I'm
actually
highly
thought out.
uneducated. This is why I'm here. We're all learning, right? He who knows everything knows nothing at all. Do you agree? I mean, look, you hear what I'm saying. You hear what I'm saying, but you have an agenda today,
No, I
right?
don't have an agenda. No, I have knowledge that I would
Mhm.
like to discuss with people, but
But your
it is
knowledge is
very
based on
difficult
opinion.
to discuss them. No, it's not. It is very
It,
much based in
it's based on
research and
sociology.
education
It's based on
and knowledge.
sociology, correct? sociology, right? The study of human behavior.
No. It
So
can be
what
a
what
multitude
is
of things.
okay? Again, have you quoted
What would you
one
like to
doctor?
discuss? Maybe sociology and society and the patriarchy might be a little bit out of your wheelhouse. Do you want to go to
Oh,
abortion? Would that be a little bit more
are you
objective?
assuming my intelligence because I have autism? Are
No,
you shaming my intelligence?
you said you're uneducated.
I
You
kn-
admitted that.
of course, but does that mean that
Right.
I'm
So that's
unintelligent?
why I'm saying that maybe this discussion is outside your wheelhouse because I am educated.
Oh wow, you are, and okay, that's very impressive.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. You know, being nonverbal half my life, you know, being able to speak to you to me is an achievement. But you know, it's okay. We just met, right? What I would like to discuss is simply
Motherfucking dog. I'd like to thank Trisha. Trisha has paid to, and I quote, please kick this condescending idiot. Thank you, Trisha. I will be buying Excedrin with that.
Hi.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, how are you? Yeah, I just wanted to come up to actually read him out real quick, but he's already gone, so never mind that. But I mean, I would have told you to drop him a little while ago in the comments, but I didn't really want to tell you what to do in your own space. But he's like, yeah, he's a narcissistic asshole. And I can't, like, I twitch at narcissism.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. I love you though, Kenzie. Like I'll follow you, and you are a rock star. And the way you read these men out, and you make them scramble for words, and the way you make them search for their souls, like you do shadow work, and I really appreciate and I value you. I love you. Just keep going on,
Thank
Queen.
you.
You're welcome.
Love you too. That's so sweet.
Of course. So I'll be watching you from the comments, sis.
Stay based.
All
Love
right,
your
take care.
face. He was the Jaden and Jeff, I see you. I will add you momentarily. I need like a little coffee after that. And not like real coffee. Hello, welcome.
Hello, hi there.
Hi.
No, I just wanted to ask, so what's the reason to ask for a debate if you only gonna be up here to be roasted by you and your army of friends here?
So I have no control over the comments. So it is what it is.
So you like to have the,
I
so
don't
you
care.
like to have the control?
One second.
So you like to
One
have
second.
the control.
I not only host my own lives, I go into other people's lives.
Yes.
And the comments there are terrible too. And they're directed at me. There's nothing that can be done. The comments are going to do what the comments are going to do. If it bothers you that much, then I recommend you do not engage.
It's not about bothering. It's just about you want men here to roast them or anyone who doesn't stay on your ideology.
Here to have my opinions and my knowledge challenged.
No, you want to impose.
One second. No, I am looking for a worthy adversary to have an intellectual conversation with. That is what I want. Now, unfortunately, on TikTok, I might not, I have to kiss a couple frogs to get my prince, to get the one who intellectually challenges me, and that's fine. So, what would you like to talk about?
Regardless of what I'm saying, I just wanted to come here to say that you are just roasting people. You have your own ideology. You're not open for a proper debate.
No.
Proper debate would be with real people into a chat with any other people. Nobody can ban anyone. Everybody can listen to everyone what he has to say. But you are just here to roast people, to roast men. You have all your army, all your girlies, all your girlies in the comment here.
Look, I don't know why you are so upset, because I am very charitable.
I am upset.
I am very patient, and I give people the benefit of the doubt a lot.
No,
if you actually have watched like the debate community, I would argue that I am one of the more charitable and patient people. So if you're
Yes,
here to
argue
debate,
with
great. Let's
right.
start. If
Yes,
you're here to
arguably.
whine,
Yes.
you can go call your mom.
Yes,
Either one.
arguably. Yes, yes.
Are you here to debate or are you here to complain?
What do you want to debate?
I have the topics that I debate listed above.
Okay, toxic masculinity, LGBTQ rights. Yeah, that's fine. LGBTQ rights is fine. Abortion should be legal. Yes, it should be legal if it's the reason for it. Yes, of course, I agree with that. Yeah, if you've been
Okay,
sexually abused, if you've been raped, if there are disabilities.
great. It sounds like we agree. I appreciate you stopping by. Maybe next time your mama. Just a food for thought, if you will.
Miss Kinsey, you
Tommy, I don't know if you're still in here. Thank you very much for the raid. Oh, hello, welcome everyone from Tommy.
Hey.
Oh man.
How are you doing today?
Good. Actually, I mean, like, I really did want to talk to that guy. He just kept like talking about the comments and complaining, and it was. I strive to be a good communicator, but I can't do all the work.
Exactly.
Like, really.
I also want to just butt in and say, like, as someone who also, I believe, has Asperger's, it's kind of unclear. We haven't gotten a full diagnosis in a while, but there is absolutely no excuse for being a jackass and for not having a point. None of those things are blocked by having Asperger's. I assure you.
Yeah, I don't really like the
very
woe is me
concise.
shit.
Jeff is very concise and can get to the fucking point. Like,
Well, thank you
which we love.
for calling me
Which we
so
love.
based.
Like, when I started real estate, you guys, I had a coach. Her name was Julie. And one of the best things she ever said to me was, Kenzie, you do not get paid per word. Which is why I say that a lot to these alpha men. You don't get paid per word. Just tell me what you got to say, and as few words as less. So,
Good point.
Do we have any guests?
no.
I'm ready for blood. Oh,
Damn. Jaden came in thirsty.
I know.
I
We
guess
had
maybe hungry.
a lackluster morning with Tommy's Lives. People just came in and bitched, and very few actually debated. So I'm ready.
Ready to get some. All right.
Yeah.
Wow, we're at 52K likes. Thank you, everyone. I did see someone subscribe. I'm sorry. I think it was Katrina. I love your face. Thank you for the subscription.
Katrina.
Let's see if we can get to 100K likes in 5 minutes. I mean, we got a good amount of people. Let's see if we can keep it on the For You page.
Yeah.
I got about 90 minutes left,
damn.
maybe 75. So let's see if we can have some more spiciness.
Absolutely.
Manic Monday.
Oh, by the way, pro tip for people who don't want to be interrupted. If you do not do any interrupting, we do no interrupting.
And you know, try and keep the monologue down just a little bit. Like, I'll admit, sometimes it takes me 10 or 12 sentences to say something, but...
Come on in. You know you wanna.
Did you guys watch the Oscars?
I did not.
Well, I am deeply satisfied with the results. And usually, you know, I think that they're a facade and a bunch of bullshit, but I actually tuned in this year.
Oh, you're
and
talking
everything
about
I wanted to win won.
Oh yeah. I was so happy when Everything Everywhere All at Once won, and Ki-Hai Kwan and Harrison Ford just gave each other a big old hug. Like,
I love that.
That's why I tune into the Oscars.
And Brendan Fraser, you know,
yeah.
really is a...
Watch that awkward interview with Hugh Grant.
No,
That was indeed odd.
Why are you here? I don't know. What are you here to see? Not really sure.
I also skipped like an hour of it because I wasn't going to miss the newest episode of The Last of Us. The season finale of The Last of Us. What am I saying?
Yes, please don't say anything. I actually skipped your video because you were like, The Last of Us in one word. I'm like, nope, bye.
It's not a spoiler. My one-word review of Last of Us is perfect.
Oh.
No, but fair
enough. That just spoiled your video.
Absolutely.
There you go. Is it the season finale or series finale?
It's the season finale. They're making a season
Okay.
2.
Oh, well, I'll get caught up.
I also think it's super funny. They
Yellow Jackets is coming back for season 2. I'm very excited about that.
Oh, nice.
I also like that they moved instead of showing their newest episode on the Sunday of the Super Bowl, they showed the Friday before because they're like, we're not going to compete with the Super Bowl. But then when the Oscars were coming around, they're like, nah, it's fine.
You mean they didn't want to compete with Rihanna's concert?
You know what? Fair. I don't know. I'm a football guy, so I was enjoying it. That's the one sport I actually understand now. Everything else is sport ball to me.
She sang at the Oscars, too. It was pretty good.
She did. It was
Yeah.
excellent.
Did
Same
she?
with
Did her
Gaga.
song win?
Hmm?
Did her song win? What won best?
I can't remember.
Oh, no, that was the
No,
song
I don't
from
think it did.
RRR
No,
one.
it didn't.
Yeah.
From which one?
From
RRR.
Yeah. Okay.
I also really wanted Puss in Boots: The Last Wish to win Best Animated Feature, but Guillermo
Oh, no.
del Toro's Pinocchio is also
Yeah.
pretty damn good.
I love that movie, and I was rooting for it.
Yeah.
You know, I work with the company that made that movie, so
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I bet.
The Jim Henson Company. So it's a great movie. I recommend it. I watched after the Oscars were over. I watched that war movie that got a few awards. All
on the
Quiet
Western
on the
Front.
Western Front. Yeah, and what the fuck is with Hollywood's boner for war movies? The boring, the long, the loud. Same story happens. And they're like, oh my fucking god, oh fuck, it's nothing's new about it. Fuck.
I will say, when they make a movie that's unique, like 1917, that's
That
when
one,
they
yes.
hit the gold mine. Like, I was... Okay, Parasite absolutely deserved Best Picture, but I was rooting for 1917 to win.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer Parasite overall, but 1917 was great. It was a different kind of movie, the single shot kind of stuff was amazing.
Boom. Okay, I'm gonna go make my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna come back.
Oh, shoot. I have coffee brewing.
Are you gonna restart?
And then if I don't have anyone, I'm gonna restart.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe.
Me and Jaden will hold down the fort.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, Jaden, how was your trip? It looked like you had a lot of fun.
Which one?
The one where you went to see your lady friend?
Oh no, she came here.
Oh, she
Yeah, that
came
was
to
a lot
you?
of
Okay.
fun. Yeah, I got banned when I came back. The day I came back and was talking about our escapades. So I'll try to keep it tame, but pretty hot stuff. She stayed here for a week. We went to Disney. We went to the Santa Monica Pier. We went to my debut show, improv show at the Jim Henson Company lot.
Nice.
We went to all sorts of cool places that I like to go to. And yeah, she was great. We talk every day and we still call each other and all that. And we're trying to see each other again. So,
Nice.
yeah, long distance is difficult, but it's worth it.
So I've
She
heard.
got a lot of ass, I'll tell you that. Can't deny that.
I like how most people would be like, she has the most stunning eyes. Like, I love her smile. Hey, Jaden's like, no. I
Great eyes,
love
too.
her butt.
Yeah, she's got a nice ass. I mean, I wasn't unabashed in saying that and like smacking it in public. So,
I gotta
If you
keep
like
muting
something.
I gotta keep muting to take a bite of my apple. Otherwise, everyone's
you're
just
good.
gonna hear this.
yeah, we made out on like the the more kiddie rides at Disneyland, which as long
Out
as
on the
nobody's
kid
kicking us
rides?
out.
You made out on the kid rides?
Well, the sort of younger, like Pinocchio, the ones that don't go very fast, the indoor rides that are super fucking slow. Yeah, we made out on that. And we were on that, what's it called, the mine ride? And like we were making out as we were going on the incline, and then we went on the descent. It sped up, and we couldn't like hold our faces together, so we had to stop. But fun stuff.
This episode of Jaden Debates is written by James Patterson.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll go ahead and restart. Give me
Okay.
like 30 seconds and I'll be back.
Was it Pooh Bear or Pinocchio? I can't remember. But all right.